Hiya. Today I'm going to show you my modern adaptation of a rig that I'm using. It's designed to hold a bottom bait and a pop-up like a snowman. Unlike the combi rig, which has a long shank with a blowback function where it moves up and down the shank of the hook, this is exactly the same, but it pops up off the bottom. So it's being held down by either a shot, or you can use a blob of tungsten putty. The design for this is that the pop-up will keep lifting the bottom bait off the ground, so it's being held down by this. But the way that it's positioned is so that hook is bent over very aggressively. If you can imagine, the boilie's there, popping up off it. It holds in. I've caught this. This will catch without a doubt. Once it beds in, once the fish takes it, there's like an anti-ejection. So I'm going to basically show you how I made it. What I've used here is I always use like a coated braid. So what you want is like you want part of it stiff. So you're going from the end all the way, and then you're cutting off. You're trimming back some that's got a soft supple end. So that's how it sits. So you've got your stiff all the way up, and then from here you peel back to leave a soft coat. The hook I'm using is a size 8 wide gape. It's just a bog standard. I don't use a chod, there's no point, because I'm bending it in this way. There's not much point to it. So what I'm doing is it's a bit like the old multi-rig. Now this is where it happens. You don't have a hair on it. You tie your hair on yourself. So if you can see what I've done here is I use dental floss, and it's tied on to the rig ring like that, and that's just tied at the length. I do a hoop, so I'm doing a hoop there, and what it's doing is basically that hoop is the length of the bottom bait and the pop-up, so that just comes out of the top like that for you to feed in the stop. So this is what I've got. So you start to tie your soft end of your braid just as you would if you were tying a hair. But now if you can see, like they've got on the multi-rig, you put the loop of the end of the hair over and feed it round. At this point then, from the other end, you slide on a rig ring. And then what happens is you then feed the line down and in the eye of the hook. Then you're doing a simple couple of turns on a knotless knot. So you go around a couple of times, and then you come back up and out. So what you're having is basically you've got this almost like a D rig with your hoop on, and then put a short length of shrink tubing on, and then when you're steaming it, you're wanting to crank it in. So it's not just with the line, you just want to make sure that this, when it hardens up, it holds it like that. Okay, and then straight down. When you get as far as you peel back, you can go a bit further if you want. It doesn't matter. What I've done is I tend to sometimes use a shot, and I still leave a little bit of soft, supple braid there before it hits that hard. You can almost see where it hits that hard coating. When it pulls away, it bends. It's not very forgiving. That's not very forgiving. Now this coating I'm using is the coated braid I'm using is Gardener's chod skin. Very stiff. It's got a little flex in it, but that helps them with that sort of when it goes and it takes and it pulls back. You've got that. It sort of locks it into place. So when you've got your D ring on, then what you want to be doing is, if you can see up close, you put your line on. Like I say, you can use dental floss, ESP's bait floss. It's all the same. I buy my dental floss like from Asda. It's something like 70p for a couple of 100 meters. So, and that's basically finished product. So what happens is then is when keeps catching on my skin. What happens then is when it's sitting up quite aggressively, it's popped up. You can imagine it's popped up. That is how it's sitting. So if I'm looking from above, you can't see it. From the front, it's very, very difficult. But if you look at it from the side view, if it's sitting on the lake bed, that is exactly how they sit. Now this is this bend in this shrink tubing is so aggressive that when the carp come in, it's almost guaranteed every time this takes straight into the bottom lip. Like I said, I've fished this on difficult lakes where carp are very, very picky, and it's took, and I've pulled in carp using this rig. It's a trusted rig. So again, all you need is basically using a coated braid, whatever you use. I say I'm using Gardener's camo skin. Strip back to give like a supple amount. You want to be stripping back quite a bit when you first start off, because you need to be thinking you don't want it just going to about there. You've got to remember this has got to act like a stiff hinge. It's got to be flexible in the water. So you want it to, you want to have at least, I would say, about 2 inches. 2 inches supple braid. Show him. Standard wide gate hook. Use a size 8. Size 8's good. Don't want to be using a 6. 6 is a little bit too big. A micro rig ring, and then you're making you tie a little hoop on the end of like you would with a standard hair. You feed the loop over and down, so then you've got it. Let me show you again. I apologise about the camera. You've got it. The hair it loops over, so it pulls away, causing a D-ring. Down through the eye, a couple of turns, I say about 3 turns, and then back up through the eye, and then you add your bit of shrink tubing and shrink it. And as you're shrinking it, just bring it in like that, and that's your finished result. And that's how it sits. It's all, like I say, it's worked for me. Okay, I'm going to be posting some more rigs up on here soon. Some of my rigs that I'm using, probably doing an explanation as to how I do them. But if you can see how it sits, that pops up lovely. So using a bottom bait, standard bottom bait, I tend to use a hybrid, mainline hybrid 14mm or mainline sow 14mm, and I'll put on top of that a sow pop-up, so like a snowman. What you want is not like the snowman rig, like a snowman setup on a blowback rig where the bottom bait is still touching the base. You want it so the pop-up literally is bringing the bottom bait up off the bottom, and then obviously like a typical chod or a stiff hinge, you can put that on. And the good thing about this is if you can easily remove this, and you can slide down a stick mix onto it as well, a basic stick mix. Stop it won't tangle anyway, but you can have it on a stick mix, and then you could reattach your shot on the end like that. And then what happens is, as it's in the water, it'll hold it down until the stick mix pops, till the PVA meshing pops, and then this will just pop up and sit up above a little tiny stick mix of particles. Crushed boilie. Crushed boilie is the best. A bit of crushed sour boilie, and that's about it. Okay, I hope you have a good luck with it. Thank you. Bye bye.